Grand Rising, my friends. Good of you to join me again. Hello there. And if you're new, Habari. The stock market and the crypto market do not look good today, my friends. So get jump into it. The Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq are all down close to 2%. Nasdaq at 2.19%, and the S&P at 1.7%. But the Dow Jones, the numbers look bigger. It's down 600 points, but you see it's in between the other two. Everything is almost down. Only Merck is up today by a little bit, but Tesla took a big hit, almost 4% down. And that's what happens. Caterpillar is down on almost 4.5%. Amazon down 3%. This is what you see when the market, that the big tech companies are the ones that are going to take the hit first. So moving on to cryptocurrencies, you see here that Bitcoin is down 8% for the day, 3% over the 7-day period to 43,698. Ethereum is down almost 10% today to $3,030.54. Cardano is at $2.10. Binance at $367.11. XRP at 93 cents. Solana at $138.53. And I'm going to say something in a second about it. I'm just going through some of the numbers. Doge at 21 cents. Chainlink 24. We were seeing something like Uniswap 21. Algorand $1.68 has come down 16% over the day. Terra had a 20% drop over to past 24 hours. Cosmo is down. It was up. I don't know if the last time we spoke, it got up to the $40 range, but now it's at $34.84. Remember, it was $11 last month, 30 days ago. So put all this into perspective. Algorand was at like 70 cents. Tezos at $5.38. EOS at $4.24. Now, Elron at $190.41. A lot of these were much higher with Axie Infinity. Been really keeping an eye on these gaming tokens because they're making so much money now. $56. Remember, this was over at 90 at some point, and now it's down to $56.04. So when you see this, the most important thing to remember is do not get scared. Do not think, oh, what should I do? Should I sell? No. This is where you should have some extra money that you've been putting aside, even if it's just another extra $10, and go buy something that is on for sale. It's a sale for the things you like. And so when you see the market go down, you should be happy because that means there's things you could buy for sale. When it's going up, you are to be a little bit weary that it can go down again. Now, should just be content with the decisions you made are going to be good regardless. And there's almost 200 billion off of the market. The market cap for the entire cryptocurrency market is 1.9 trillion. It was up to 2.1, 2.2 recently. So almost 200 billion off within the past week. It'll be back. It will be back. There's nothing to explain this. I mean, we can argue about what, and that'll be in a day or so, what's happening in China. You know, we've been telling, here, if you've been listening, China is on some crazy crackdown. Now they crack down on the property company, Evergrande there, and a lot of Evergrande may be the name. It's funny if it is. The impact through the entire financial markets have been felt. So we will keep an eye on whatever it is that China feels the need to be doing in their country that is impacting the rest of us in the world. ETH continues to burn like crazy. 332,867 Ethereum, almost 68. Ethereum has burned 70 now. Sorry. See, you passed the billion point. So and as I was saying the other day, it's a supply shock coming where The amount of Bitcoin on exchanges have decreased. The amount of Ethereum on exchanges, and the fact that now it's being burned, it's just mechanism in place that is just not being replenished every day. It's deflationary now some days. It's going to be a point where people are going to go buy it and it's not going to be there. What do you think that will do to the price? Because right now, yeah, everybody can just go get with, oh, I want somebody to go get it, or over the counter mark. Over the counter is if you're buying like MicroStrategy or Tesla and you're buying $1 billion. You're not going on you're not signing up to Coinbase and wait till they up your, what's the word I want to say, your daily allotment to buy. You can get your 1.5 billion. You're going to find somebody who has that and you're going to buy from them directly over the counter. As that OTC, as you hear the term, over the counter OTC. And that's what that means, where for the bigger amounts, individuals are able to go directly to whoever has it. And you can buy like from Coinbase over the counter because they have, giant reserves, or Binance or Gemini or Kraken. That's usually who they will buy from over the counter. They won't buy from the exchange. You won't see that big giant transaction on the exchange. That'll be over the counter. You can go through the blockchain analysis and see where it occurred. So, and the difference between exchanges, the business that I run, my Coinbase app, the website, versus I send you Bitcoin, you wire me money through your bank to my bank. And that doesn't necessarily have to happen on Coinbase website for Coinbase to sell their stuff. That's what over the counter means. It's just more, how the real game work behind the scenes. We're more of a handshake and a back and forth. Popping into what we want to get into, you know how it is. Just imagine that every day this person that you admire thinks, you know what, such and such is an animal who hasn't even thanked me in an appropriate fashion. They should be trying to write my name across the stars to tell me how much they appreciate the individual that I am. And there's a way you could do it. You could say, hey, watch Grand Rising. Boom, sent you this video. Peep it out. You will see that on there. I wrote something very nice about you down in the comment section, and you may have it there forever and ever. So send this video to them. Write something nice about them. Send it to them. Let's get it going. ARK Invest targets Canadian Bitcoin and ETF investment. So it looked like ARK is now looking about they filing, according to an amended SEC filing for the ARK Invest Next Generation Internet ETF. For those who may be new here, SEC stands for Security Exchange Commission, which is an organization in the United States that deals with stocks and bonds, which are the equities market and securities. Bunch of words that mean the same thing. That's when you learn at the end of the day. And stocks are how much a company is worth, and bonds is their debt. I think I may be right about bonds. I'm trying to find ways to simplify it. And maybe oversimplification. I got to do a little bit more research, but I think that kind of sums it up basically. And so the SEC, the file to do this, ARK Invest is a management firm by Queen Kathy Woods. And a prospectus is what they're going to be like, their plan of action for their firm. My cat is meowing, and I don't want to interrupt, so I don't know where I was at, but we'll just say, so ARK are looking now. They invest a lot of money into the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and Grayscale is another company that has bought a bunch of physical Bitcoin, meaning they own Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and also invest in companies that deal with like crypto mining or coin-based companies and such. And they have their own stock you can buy, GBTC, in the United States that represents their holdings in Bitcoin. So it's not a physically backed by the Bitcoin because it's technically a trust, which is a lot of other things. An ETF, the Canadian ETFs are physically backed by Bitcoin, meaning for every however much you are paying in, that's how much Bitcoin you own. And so companies want that. They don't want to have this trust thing set up where they, based on a company holding Bitcoin, they want to have as closest to if they can't hold the Bitcoin itself on a stock market for a lot of these pension funds, sovereign funds. Sovereigns are different countries, their money, basically, like their treasury. Corporation treasuries, their balance sheets. If they're going to hold Bitcoin, the safest way for them would be a company is regulated on a stock exchange, the SEC. And so, because all these pension funds and corporations, they own stock, as well as they may have cash equivalents or gold. And so this would be seen as their quote unquote gold equivalent for some. So a Bitcoin ETF is an investment tool that allows investors to buy shares that represent the world's most popular cryptocurrency without the need to hold and store the underlying asset. Despite the American investors' long craving for a Bitcoin ETF, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has so far denied any attempts to launch such a vehicle, citing concerns over price manipulation in the crypto market, saying that now the market fluctuates and is such. Canada does have Bitcoin ETFs, and so you have three of them, and Grayscale is seeking to get a Bitcoin ETF, of course, here in America. ARK is seeking to get a Bitcoin ETF here in America. I don't know about, I'm sure individually, but I wouldn't be surprised in some way if ARK doesn't have physical Bitcoin on their corporate balance sheet some way, somehow. I don't know if they would have to declare that or not, but you'd imagine. So it looks like that, either they're going to start buying it or they may even dump some of their Grayscale to buy the Canadian ETF. And so we have to kind of keep an eye, because they talked about that the Grayscale Bitcoin trades at a premium. However, GBTC's historical premium, the difference between the price of the shares and the underlying Bitcoin per share, turned negative this year. And they said shortly after the launch, but that wasn't what it was. It was a lot of other things. It turned negative this year, where it used to be positive for Grayscale, meaning it was 1,000, I think 1,000 shares is equivalent to one Bitcoin, but you may pay for that 1,000 shares 10% more than you would if you just bought Bitcoin itself. But now, by that 1,000 shares, you're paying 10% less. Now, I don't know if Grayscale will just give you, so if you had paid 10% more a year ago and now your shares are worth 10% less, 20% less, because it's 10 less and then now 10 less, so 20 total. People are not too happy with that, but we'll see what happens over time. It's something we have to follow and just be aware of. Visa CEO says crypto could become extremely popular in 5 years. Despite being a little over a decade old, crypto has gained tremendous popularity, and now, we know that. But Visa's, according to Visa CEO Alfred Kelly, Visa's making sure if the cryptocurrencies get as big as everyone expects, they want to be in the middle of it. On his podcast, he expressed his thoughts where cryptocurrency could be in the next 5 years. According to the CEO, crypto could be extremely popular. On the flip side, he opined that just as much as it could be successful, it could also end up flopping. To him, he's like, either way it goes, as he said, what I like most about our business is that we don't pick winners and losers. So they get themselves ready regardless of the eventuality. And that's how we have to think as well. If it wins, good. If it don't, who cares? We'll move on. We have other things we're doing. So I don't know how far the cryptocurrencies are going to take off, says Kelly. Let's say in 5 years it was a fad, no big deal, or it'd be extremely popular. I'm not smart enough to know, but I'm smart enough to make sure our company is in the middle of it today. CEO said that Bitcoin is seen as the digital successor to gold. Thus, the company was working towards enabling the purchase and conversion of cryptocurrencies. Plans to enable its customers to seamlessly convert their cryptocurrencies into fiat. Explained that the company was also focusing on using crypto to move cash and not just being used as payments. And talking about how they have been implementing crypto debit cards for customers to spend their cryptos. They've been working with a lot of companies. I think BlockFi, off the top of my head, I know has a Visa card, if I'm not mistaken. So in other words, Visa thinks it's important enough for it to be involved in, regardless if it goes which way it goes. And to me, that means they don't want to lose money. And as much money as they throwing at it means they expect it to be around. So if you've been hesitant to be in cryptocurrencies or just $5-10 a month accumulating them, I don't know what to say in a sense that, if you are looking at a time scale of 5 years. Now, if your time scale is much less, then I'd be hard pressed to find something better than that as well. But it depends on the year. So that becomes more in anything when you have a shorter time scale. It's much harder to predict the outcome. So the goal is to try to get on a longer time scale of prediction and planning. 11 countries that don't, now this is really long-term planning, 11 countries that don't tax Bitcoin gains in 2021, as of now. Belarus is taking an experimental approach to legalize cryptocurrency in the East. A new law legalized cryptocurrency activities in the East European state, exempting individuals and businesses involved in them from taxes until 2023. So, then it comes up for review. Not necessarily to be over. So mining and investing is deemed personal investments and exempt from income tax and capital gains. For those who don't know, in America, you're going to be taxed a lot of different ways, but let's get the two big ones in terms of the money you have. Income, how much income you make in a year. The very rich people have very low incomes in a year. Why? Because they get themselves, because I'll explain in a second. And this is a much longer story, and I'm not going to go too deep in it. I'm just going to give you the really, really brief overview, and this will be probably something we deep dive in further so you understand this. Income is taxed on a progressive bracket of, X amount of dollars. You get taxed this amount. You go higher, you get taxed. And it works as for every amount you get taxed at that bracket. So between, let's say, 0, I'm going to use just simple numbers for now. For 0 and 10 at 10%. Between 10 and 20, you get 12.5. And then between 30 and 40 or 20 and 30, you get, as it goes up, that amount of money gets taxed differently. It's not if you make 50,000, you get taxed at the higher 20-something tax bracket. You get taxed at those little amounts as you go up towards this, right? And that's how America tax system works. Numbers are way different from what I'm just saying. I'm just trying to make it simple. And that's your income. However much money you make in a year, you get taxed about how much you make, a certain percentage. Very rich people try as much as possible to have the lowest amount of income possible, meaning how much they get paid a year is small. What they do is have their assets, and their assets, whenever they realize them. So if I buy stock this year, and if I realize it this year, then it's considered a capital gains of income, and I'm taxed as my income. If I can wait 1 year, 2 years, it's past 1 year. But if I wait, just to say past 1 year, then I'm taxed at the capital gains tax, which is much lower than income tax. So you're taxed for your money either by income or capital gains. The goal is to get most of your money taxed by capital gains because it's much smaller than income. So rich people, they'll take a small income, but will get paid in whatever else, stock or an asset, or even a loan taken out against their possessions, so that they can, for that year, it looks like they get small amounts of income, but then they realize, if necessary, if they try to avoid that as much as possible too, these capital gain sources of money that then are taxed, if that makes sense. Long story short, Belarus, everything's capital income and capital gains are exempt in terms of mining and investing in cryptocurrencies. Germany regards Bitcoin as private money as opposed to currency, commodity, or stock. Cryptocurrency held for over a year if for any German resident. Cryptocurrency for residents, though. You can't just be visiting and say this. Cryptocurrency held for over a year is tax exempt, regardless of the amount. And it's $600 if it's held for less than a year is tax. So we won't get into that, but if you keep it for over a year, no taxes. While in America, you may have to pay 15 or 20-some% taxes in capital gains. So that's a big difference. But then they have businesses, though, need to pay corporate income taxes on cryptocurrency gains as it would any other. So individual businesses are dealt with differently in Germany. Hong Kong is basically China. They're talking about a special administrative region. China took over Hong Kong. So you want to go live in China and do this? We've discussed what's happening there already. So we'll go past that. Feel free to go to Hong Kong if you want to live. The plan may change, What's that famous line Vader say to Lando? Which is, our arrangement has changed. Pray that I don't. Was it pray that I don't change it any further? If it's something like that, our arrangement has changed. Pray that I don't change it any further. Yeah, that's what you're dealing with going there. So, don't be mad at me. I'm just calling like I see it, G. Y'all sound like me. Been grindy since the early 90s. I don't know if I'm going to get, what's the name, copyright strike for rapping some Biggie lyrics like that. Only did a couple, barely a bar or two. El Salvador, now Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador. The company will reportedly exempt foreign investors from paying tax on their Bitcoin gains. Okay. So let's see. I mean, they're trying to, the president there Bukele, President Bukele. I don't know if he's a strong man yet, authoritarian nutbag. We're going to have to see. I hope not. Hope he's just a younger guy who's very forward thinking and being attacked by the powers that be to make him look like a bad person. But we will find out. Can't be going killing enemies and getting them angry. You're trying to get people say their money there. You wouldn't imagine that'd be a bad thing, but we will see. Malaysia, cryptocurrency transactions are currently tax-free. Cryptocurrencies don't qualify for capital gains tax because digital currencies are not considered assets or legal tender. However, profits from active trading may be regarded as revenue. Okay. And businesses involved in cryptocurrency are likewise subjected to Malaysian income tax. So a lot of these places, Malta, I didn't know Malta was known for tax evasion and money laundering. I guess I'm in the big money of the world where taking my money to Malta to wash and clean it, huh? But it's called Blockchain Island. Is recognized Bitcoin as a unit of account, medium of exchange, or a store of value. Doesn't apply crypto gains tax to long-held digital currencies. But crypto trades are similar to day trading. So, yeah, day trading is not looked at well. But also discriminate between Bitcoin and other so-called financial tokens. Probably everything else. Equivalent to dividends, interest, and premiums. So they're trying to get their money, but Bitcoin, for whatever reason, they leaving off of it. Portugal, very crypto-friendly. Sale of cryptocurrencies by individuals has been tax exempt. Crypto trading is not considered investment income. Businesses that accept digital currency or payment for goods service are liable to income tax. Makes sense. I'm not going to argue with that. Singapore, capital gains tax does not exist in Singapore. Probably so neither individuals nor corporations holding cryptocurrency are liable. Hey. But companies based in Singapore are liable to income tax. So individual should be good, not so much the companies, or maybe depending on if you come under their notice now. If you're accepting Bitcoin, maybe more so than investing and having your money, putting your money as a safe, not even so much investing, but storing your money in Bitcoin. And then it appreciates and, oh, hey, well, what am I doing? Are you mad about that? No. Slovenia is another country that treats individuals and businesses separately. Okay. No capital gains is levied against individuals when they sell Bitcoin. Switzerland is pretty crypto friendly as well. Crypto profits made by qualified. What does that mean? Individual through investment trading are treated as tax exempt. What does it mean to be qualified? You know what that is. And Bermuda. Hey, I was getting worried because I was like, I wanted to move that far away if necessary. But Bermuda, not that far. The island nation Bermuda, it doesn't impose income, capital gains, withholding other taxes on digital assets or transactions involving digital assets. And they also accept payment for taxes, fees, and other government services taking USD coin. So got some options out here if necessary, because we want to live a long time and have a bunch of money. That is the plan. Antioxidant drug could prevent heart attack and strokes. This is awesome. So they found a drug that was reversing arteriosclerosis, which is the buildup of fatty deposits in our arteries when a type of fat called LDL cholesterol becomes oxidized and builds up to form plaques in the cell wall, which is a collection of them. You know, the wall of, you can imagine you have the walls there of your arteries, and inside the lining of the wall, you start to get these deposits of fat that builds up these big plaques that can kind of start to, look like a ball getting in the way of that, right? Damage which can cause the plaques to rupture and cause blood to clot. So that's what happens. You get this big fatty deposit, then something else happened, and then boop, it busts open, and all the blood start to clot where it's at. Then that which was open and patent, meaning open, now is occluded, locked, or partially occluded, closed off. So researchers discovered that LDL cholesterol can be oxidized in in acidic small baths called lysosomes and immune cells within the artery wall. This Professor David Leakey and his team have found that the antioxidant drug cysteamine has the power to switch off or even reverse this process. If they can, and this is still in the very early stages, but if this research pans out to, because right now we may have drugs that can, or medications that can slow down the effect of this happening, but to start reversing that without having to do surgery is going to be amazing. Now, granted, at some point, the machines will be in your bloodstream going through cleaning all this up as well. As freaky as that sound, you know, when it start to be, and everybody always argue it, and they see everybody else getting it done and it's working, then they want to be like, oh, yeah, please have my flock of robots inside my body. So cysteamine works by accumulating in lysosomes and stopping the oxidation of LDL cholesterol. It's already known to be safe in humans, where it's used to treat a rare lysosomal condition called cystinosis. So we already using it. It's being repurposed. I wonder if the artificial intelligence computers were used and figured out, say, hey, this will work pretty well for that. But they've been doing it on mice, and I think or maybe the other. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the other next story we're going to talk about something else. But they were looking at mice, but for this as well, a lot of work is done. Research, you have to test it on us as humans at some point. If we're going to know it's going to work on us, somebody has to take it at some point. And probably before we get to that point, this is just common sense. We're going to test that on other life forms. And they usually will start on mice because it's easy to reproduce a lot of them in a laboratory and specific, keep them happy and fed. There's a lot of research has been done in this so that they're living their normal life and we're able to study, not them in stress conditions. Rabbits are also used because it's similar. And then kind of later stage, but it's more difficult to do, is primate research in the sense where it's much more difficult. You can't just breed a bunch of chimpanzees or various types of monkeys really fast in a lab and not care about if they're happy or not and expect that the research we get will make any sense to us. So any of these animals, now, granted, anybody would rather just be out free, but, they may have a lot, domesticated cats live, order of magnitude longer than cats who are outdoors. Is that a worse life because they're trapped inside, but they live to be, 14, 15, 20 versus 2 to 3 years? You can argue any of these points in any direction. So, but the research is going to be done. We want to help as many humans as possible. We want to not hurt as many animals in the process. And you just try to be as best as you can in that, So the cysteamine looked like it's doing well, but we're gonna have to kind of see what it looks like going forward. It's gonna be some time before we know if it really if it works in humans the way they seem to be doing in these little studies they've been doing so far. But that's great news to be able to reduce plaques in individuals because here in America it appears that individuals are getting plaques in their arteries much younger than previously because of our diet. But what do you expect? Scientists discover a new foundation of youth substance that can help strengthen aging bones. It's an acetate solution. I believe it was sodium acetate. So basically, these individuals were studying epigenetics, and they found that these stem cells, the difference, epigenetics, well, let's take back. It'll always be somebody's first time. So let's see if they talk about what epigenetics is so I can read what they said. I don't think they did, so I'll just have to explain to you what it is. Well, that's fine. So epigenetics is basically understanding that our DNA can be impacted by environmental influences during our life. So while you may be born with a certain propensity to express a certain gene, external factors can impact your stress state so much. Stress, I know we don't know exactly how 100% how this changes, but it causes changes to how your DNA is expressed. And they they needed to research epigenetics to study a stem cell function based on genetics. They discovered that when proteins are altered, stem cell function decreases in bone marrow because of the ties to the DNA in the cells. This article is it's not written very well, so it kind of tries to simplify the information, but it's very confusing when it tries to do it. So if I look at it, like, okay, they're using some terms that are where you need to be, but then it tries to oversimplify and it doesn't make sense. Because epigenetics is not the study of stem cell function based on genetics, but it's how cells are impacted by the environment. So they found that when they compared the epigenome of stem cells from young and old mice, they could see the significant differences of how the genes in these older mice and younger mice, the changes over time, caused the cells to be less functional than they were when they were younger. So to replenish the epigenome, the researchers tended to mouse bone marrow stem cells with an acetate solution. Ultimately, the cells help the enzymes connect to histones, which inevitably increase DNA activity attached to genes. The treatment caused the epigenome to rejuvenate, improving stem cell activity and leading to higher production of bone cells. So, long story short is they were able to take the stem cells, and that's what the research, you won't be able to probably take like a pill that's going to do this, is that it'll be a stem cell therapy where they'll take some of your stem cells, almost clean them off with this acetate solution, rejuvenate them. I don't know how we want to think of it as, but get them back to being more youthful in their expression of what they need to do and put them back in, and then find that your bones get stronger. That's the plan. So we got a lot of things we're thinking of how to get us better as human beings, and ain't nothing wrong with that. With that said, I love you. You love you. God loves us. And that's all that matters.